I'm going to share with you the real underlying cause of abdominal pain. So check with your doctor before doing what I'm going to tell you. Maybe you'll get a diagnosis like biliary dyskinesia, which basically means there's sludge in your bile ducts, okay? Things aren't moving, bile is not moving, it's kind of stuck there. And when we're dealing with abdominal pain, we're really dealing with pressure from gas, fluids, fecal matter, or food backing up somewhere, causing pressure in some of the plumbing going on, whether it's from the liver to the gallbladder or the pancreas to the small intestine, or maybe it's in your large intestine. Maybe you get a diagnosis, diabetic gastroparesis, which basically is a fancy term for the nerves are so damaged in your digestive system that everything is very, very slow. So the transit time of food going through these tubes is very sluggish, which is going to cause a lot of bloating and pain. Maybe you'll get a diagnosis with gastritis or heartburn or acid reflux or indigestion. Or maybe you'll get a diagnosis with gastroesophageal reflux disorder, which means this little valve on the top of the stomach is not closing, so food is kind of backing up through your esophagus. And maybe you're diagnosed with an ulcer. Regardless of what condition you have, there's something very, very simple and very powerful that I'm going to show you. But in order to put things back into place, you have to understand some basic anatomy and where things are in location to your abdomen where you have pain, because that'll give you a clue, okay? Okay, I have my friend right here. If we take a look at the abdominal area and we break it down into sections, we have this upper right part right here, you have the middle upper part right here, and the left upper part right here, okay? So over here on the right side, you have the liver and the gallbladder, and you have the connections, okay? Those are called ducts, like your bile ducts, okay? In the center, you have the stomach, okay? And you also have this thing that's crossing over called the pancreas, all right? And then on the left side, you have part of the pancreas, and then you have the spleen over here. And then right in the center right here, you have the small intestine, okay? And it connects to the large intestine that comes up through here, crosses over, and comes down this way. And then in the middle part right here on the right side, okay, a little lower than the upper part, you have the kidney area. You have in the little connection between the kidney and the bladder, it's called the ureter. And then on the left side, you have the kidney over here with the ureter. And of course, right on top of the kidneys, you have the adrenals, and they're way back over here. And then in the lower part right here in the center, you have the uterus, and you have a prostate in that area. And then if you're female, in the lower left and the lower right, you'll have ovaries. So in other words, if you know where you have pain and you know the organs that are connected, then it's pretty easy to kind of narrow it down. The problem is that the pancreas crosses over from not just the left side, but the middle and even the right side. So sometimes it's a little confusing. And sometimes the gallbladder, if there's stones, can cause pain a little lower. And sometimes the kidney stone can cause pain a little bit higher up. So there are certain things you can do to differentiate between the two. But I just wanted to give you a little orientation of where certain organs are located. So the first thing I want to cover, something very, very common, yet it's not well known. Typically, the symptoms that are related to gallbladder are bloating, burping, and belching, but it can definitely be abdominal distension or pain. So we have the liver here that makes bile, okay? So bile comes down from a little tube through here and gets stored in the gallbladder. And then when you eat, the gallbladder contracts. It's a storage of bile. And now that bile can squeeze into this little tube down here, okay, and go into the small intestine to mix with the food that just came out of the stomach. And then with the help of the pancreas, certain enzymes, specifically lipase, which digest lipids, which can help further break down the fat into smaller particles. So we have this bile that breaks down fat to a certain level, and then the enzyme lipase breaks it down to smaller levels. So now you can, now, of course, you can have a gallstone, right? So some people have gallstones, some people don't. But a lot of people have sluggishness within this duct right here. In other words, the bile material is like sludge, and that's an actual medical thing. And it can back up into these tubes and cause a tremendous amount of pain.